My name's Kip Sabian. I'm an AEW professional wrestler, and I'm a prophet of the War. That's what I'm going to call myself. So, I played when I was a kid, but not like in any way following the rules. It was basically just, I would just move my models around and pretend they were fighting. And then when I got a little bit older, I just fell out of the hobby, as most kids do. But then about 3.5 years ago, I moved back to Philly, and my brother-in-law has been big into Warhammer for like years. He was like, just come along and like watch us play and hang out. So I was like, okay, sounds like a great plan. So I went along and I watched him play, and I was like, oh, there's like this itch. So then I played with him, and he was like, well, what army do you want to do? And I was like, it's got to be Orks. I had no idea how to play Orks. I just was like, oh, it's got to be Orks. And then I got a basic beginner box set, and then literally from the second I got the box set and I started my first models, I bought more and more, and my wife got more and more. She's very supportive of my hobby. However, the amount of space that I took up with boxes, because I'm a collector of so many different things, mainly like Spider-Man memorabilia, and I basically filled our old house with all of my collectibles. Pop Funkos, Spider-Man memorabilia, my big green goblin helmet that she got me one birthday, which is probably my favorite piece of memorabilia ever. And yeah, it just carried on progressing, and then I started watching more battle reports, and we'd play currently like once a week. We have our crusade that we've got. We just recently started a new crusade, so great time to start a new crusade as 10th is now coming out. So hopefully we can transition that over, but I just love it. And that's why coming here today was so cool for me as well, because I got to see, I'm very stuck within the armies that me and my buddies try and play with. You know what I mean? So seeing other people play with other things, I was just a stalker today, which I think scared a few people. When I'm like standing over them going, and it's just like, what's he doing? She's deciding what army she's gonna go with. She gave me four things, right? Sisters, right? That's the one, yeah?
Sisters about to bloody roast sisters.
She's gonna do sisters now, but she said she wanted them to be sexy, they needed to have boobs, and they needed to be morbid, and she wanted to make them gruesome. So basically she's trying to create an army of her wrestling character, I guess. Nice. Is the idea. Playing it, that's pretty much the main point for me. So I like the fact that they're now seeming to go down the route of being more accessible for players that have not been playing for a while. Because for me, especially during like coming into 9th, it was like end of 8th, and then as 9th was starting was when I got into it. And there were so many rules for me to learn for each and every army, which was crazy. I like my rules now, but I like the fact that now it's gonna be much easier for me to convince people to pick up a starter box or, you know, get into the game, because the rules are hopefully more understandable for them. It's more simplified, because especially with some of the armies, you have so many, you know, small little faction specific rules that I feel like, I like to use like Penelope as an example. I feel like if you had something like, you know, like a psycho heavy army like 1,000 Suns, it would be very hard for her to understand how that's going just straight away. It would take a long time. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if they're making the core rules more accessible for everyone, and then you have your own little faction specific stuff, it's gonna be much easier for new players to get in. So for me, that's great, because it gives me more people to play against. Who would be a good Warhammer player from the roster? Claudio has interest from what I've heard. Joe, I think Joe plays. I think Samoa Joe plays. I could be wrong, we've not spoken about it. He's quite a strong presence, and I don't want to go, hey man, you want to play 40K sometime? Who would you think would be a good 40K player?
I would assume Brandon Cutler.
Oh, what am I talking about? Of course it'd be Brandon. Yeah, I mean, he's like super D&D, right? Yeah, really bad. Like really, really bad. I definitely need to play more first. Actually, no, screw it, let's see what happens. I'll just be calling my own rules, and they'll be telling me why I'm wrong, and I'll be like, okay, that's great.
You don't have to win at all.
This is, I don't know, I've got a very, you probably gained this after my saddening defeat at Kill Team Live. I definitely have a passion for winning at things. I like to win. That is also the biggest competitive part of me and my brother-in-law, is that Dave loves to win and I love to win. So if one of us is winning over the other one, you can tell. There's like this eeriness during the game, you know what I mean? But yeah, tournaments is where I want to go next, I think. And I want to combine like we were talking before this, video games when I was a kid was seen as it wasn't like the cool thing to do. You know, it was not spoken about that much. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're attracted to someone, you probably wouldn't talk about video games to them. Now we're in an age where video games is like the cool thing now. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone plays video games. I feel like, you know, tabletop games, board games, Warhammer especially, is something that fits that category as well. Because everyone loves, I said to you earlier, everyone loves playing board games. The family comes around, everyone plays board games. It basically is just a board game, but you have more control over what you do. And I love that fact of it. Basically, this is basically an interview now about my brother-in-law. Shout out to Eggman Dave. So we'll basically go around his house when we're not playing Warhammer, me and Penelope, and we'll just play whatever board game he has that day. What was the game we were talking about earlier? Because that interested me. There was a wrestling one you were talking about. That was the one where you have your own show. I like that idea. That might be a good way of getting wrestlers into playing the tabletop sphere, into the board game sphere. We can set it up. We ease it in. Hey, that's a great idea.
We make some alternate reality AEW sort of book. Kip Sabian does get people at
I think, I mean, that would be great. You know, that would be third time's the charm is where we go with that one.
If you can remember the name.
No, I can't. My favorite board game so far is, I don't know if I should say it. Monopoly always wins, which is such a generic answer, but I just love Monopoly.
That's fine, it's most people's first experience.
It's amazing. It's the best, but it's so vanilla. But I always try and get us to play Monopoly, but no one wants to play with me because I'm a sore loser at Monopoly. It's bad. If I'm winning, I'm the best player ever. If I'm losing, it's just, what's the point? There used to be a running trend where at Christmas we play Monopoly, and every year without fail there would be a point when playing Monopoly where me and my dad would get in an argument and we'd just end the game. Either he'd walk off or I'd walk off because we'd just be arguing about something to do with the game. Either he would accuse me of stealing money from the bank, which I used to do as a kid, and I would then be like, no, I didn't steal anything. It's like, well, how did you end up with all of this? And I'd be like, because I'm just good at the game. And then we'd end the game. I can't remember what happened last year. I think last year I was winning. Oh, not last year, it was 2 years ago. I was winning Monopoly for the first time. We'd never finished a game. Me and my family have never finished a game of Monopoly because something breaks out during it. And we're right near the end, and I'm winning. And my dad goes, we'll just call it. I was like, no, I'm gonna win. There's no point, none of us are gonna win. That's why I always fall out with you because of this. So we end up ending the game there. Do you remember that? Yeah, they were teaming up against me as well, so that got into an argument. Yeah, that was it. They were teaming up against me because they couldn't do it on their own, and then I got annoyed at it, and then my dad said, well, then that's fine, we'll just end the game, and then that's where that happened. Monopoly is up there, but I'm interested in like new games, you know what I mean? So recommendations.
Oh yeah, well, what better place to get them than dicebreaker.com?
Oh, there we go, see you.
Shout out.
Always be hustling.
Always
Hey,
be hustling.
dicebreaker.com. That's where you got to go. Right, it's going to be me. It's going to be Penelope, because if I didn't say that, she'd be upset. She has to be invited, of course. Butcher would definitely come along, because he's like the coolest dude ever, which means that I definitely would invite Blade. It would basically just be like our faction. It'd be me, Penelope, Butcher, Blade, Bunny, so there's that. Then we're having a big board game. We're playing like a big one. You'd have Uno for sure. He'd be great. Not Orange Cassidy, ever. Any of the best friends, no. Maybe Sammy. Maybe Sammy. Who are you telling me to say? Nah, because Miro's too good at that stuff. Miro's actually like good at everything, so no.
The whole game of giving.
Yeah.
You can't be giving him that.
Oh, that's a flashback. Someone was talking about the Arcade Anarchy match the other day. That was wild to be like around, like all of the stuff. They literally built an entire set of, all right, let's be honest, not all the video games worked, but they rented a bunch of like arcade cabinets. They made a bunch like they were there to smash if needed to be smashed. The ball, the grabbing machine that Statlander popped out of was like actually built with like thick like fiberglass. And I remember prior to that match, Penelope, being the crazy wrestler that she is, was like, oh, I'm just gonna eat it. I'm like, what? And she's like, oh, I'm just gonna eat it. Okay, that's fine. Gets the match, Chris Statlander pops up, boom, there's the glass, and she takes it straight on the face. That thing was hard. But yeah, it'd be me, Butcher, Blade, Penelope, Bunny, Uno, Cutler, Alex Reynolds, because I just love Alex Reynolds. That is the reason why. Alex Reynolds will be there. Not Orange Cassidy or the Best Friends. I need 10 because I'm doing a 10-person game. And then I'd have Tony Schiavone, because why not? And Jim Ross. That'd be my board game night. There you go. Me, Penelope, Butcher, Blade, Bunny, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Uno, Cutler, Alex Reynolds. There you go, done.
All right, I'll send you some 10-player game recommendations.
Please do. Well, you can find me on Twitter at the Kip Sabian. You can find me on Instagram. I hate Twitter now though, but it's fine. Instagram at the Kip Sabian. YouTube.com/The Kippens is our YouTube channel now. That's the one we've recently just started again. So that's gonna be good fun. And I haven't created it yet, but we are gonna have our board game related channel, which, shocking. This is an exclusive that I haven't actually created the channel yet, but I've started on the artwork for it.
Well, that's very cool.
So that's it. And then, we can do a collab situation going on here. Hey, all about it. Yeah, please do. And then, you can subscribe to that at a later. If I've already released it, which could be happening, then there'll be a thing that will pop up that will say where to go for that. It's basically gonna be me, my brother-in-law, our buddies, and random guests from time to time playing 40K, not really knowing everything about the game. Perfect. Which is gonna be great, because it's gonna be mainly chat in the comments telling us you're doing it all wrong. But 10th is coming out, and it's gonna be much easier.
Excellent.
So we're good. Thanks for watching Dicebreaker, and have a lovely day. Mwah.